is your ally in today's connected world. Save 25% or more off your first year. Go to norton.com/.
Americans rely on affordable, reliable package delivery from the U.S. Postal Service. It's a lifeline for rural communities. It powers our cities. But Washington politicians want to impose a massive package rate hike on the Postal Service. A 400% increase. We can't afford that these days. Quadrupling the price to send a package? That means 4 times the cost for seniors to ship their medication, 4 times to deliver household necessities, and 4 times the cost for small businesses. Unneeded rate hikes that will harm Main Street and everyday Americans. America can't afford the package tax now. Call Congress now. 202-224-3121. Tell them to stop the package tax. The Postal Service is an economic lifeline for small businesses and rural customers all over the country. That's 202-224-3121. And tell them to stop the postal rate hike. Paid for by the Package Coalition.
Portions of the following program will be recorded.
iHeartRadio wants to help with a chance at $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword WIN to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest.
WGY AM Schenectady, WGY FM Albany, an iHeart radio station.
6 o'clock at News Radio 810 and 103.1 WGY. I'm Jim Gagliardi. 5 regions in this state begin phase 1 of reopening tomorrow. State Attorney General with Governor Cuomo at his coronavirus briefing. She talks about the St. Clair's pension fund crisis. Top stories in a minute. First, traffic and weather.
This report is sponsored by Nature Valley Crunchy Bars. Some heavy volume on 787 northbound as you go north of exit 4 up towards exit 5 with a crash being worked on. Rest of the way on 787 really not too bad. On 90 a good ride from East Greenbush over to Colony up and down the Northway. Really not bad. A little volume southbound coming into alternate 7 a good ride coast to coast. From the WGY Price Chopper Market 32 Traffic Center, I'm Mike Barker.
Nature Valley brings that satisfying crunch that gets your family going again with real delicious honey and whole grain oats. So get out here. Nature Valley Oats and Honey Crunchy Bars. The original crunch.
WGY, thank you weather forecast. Periods of rain tonight, the low 54. Rather cloudy tomorrow. A couple of showers in the morning, followed by a strong thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high of 76. Mostly sunny skies Saturday. It'll be nice with a high of 73. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon on News Radio 810 and 103.1 WGY.
Right now, clouding up now, 69 degrees at News Radio 810 and 103.1 WGY. Governor Cuomo holding his daily coronavirus briefing today in Syracuse. Hospitalizations, intubations, deaths continue to trend down in the state. The Finger Lakes, Southern Tier, Mohawk Valley, North Country, and now Central New York have met the metrics required to begin phase 1 of reopening the economy. Governor Cuomo says each decision moving forward must be done gradually and strategically.
Phased reopening does not mean the problem has gone away. It means we have controlled the problem because of what we did and because of our individual responsibility and individual actions, and that has to be maintained.
Capital Region still not there yet. We're meeting 5 of the 7 metrics. State health officials investigating more than 100 cases of children that have been diagnosed with a recently identified inflammatory illness that is associated with COVID-19. Local grocery chain increasing its workforce again. Hannaford looking to add about 2,000 more workers, roughly double in new hires since mid-March. Grocer says the employees are needed during this period of increased demand related to the pandemic. Specifically, many new hires will be working the front end as grocery stockers are in the increasingly popular Hannaford To Go service. State Attorney General Letitia James was at Governor Cuomo's coronavirus briefing today in Syracuse. She talked about developments in the ongoing investigation into the collapse of the pension fund, former St. Clair's Hospital in Schenectady.
We're actively engaged in efforts to reclaim the pensions of the hardworking individuals from St. Clair. This is an issue that I'm particularly focused on because I'm concerned about individuals who rely upon their pensions, particularly now.
Fund collapse left about 1,100 retirees with either significantly reduced or no pensions. Late last week, a court judge ruling on a motion to block the dissolution of the pension fund. The pension fund cannot dissolve, and Attorney General James will now have access to over 100 pieces of evidence to examine Regarding the fund and its collapse, State Senator Jim Tedisco and Attorney General James are saying St. Clair's pensioners will now have a voice at the table in future proceedings. On Wall Street, positive territory, an 800-point swing. The Dow Jones Industrials up 377 points to close at 23,625. The Nasdaq went up 80. S&P 500 improved 32. WGY News Time 6:04. Our next update at 6:30. I'm Jim Gagliardi. Michael Berry next in a minute. On News Radio 810 and 103.1 WGY. Capital Region's breaking news, traffic, and weather station.
New York's mayor says he wants to keep the lockdown for months, and some governors...
25.
So the losing quarterbacks, except for Matt Ryan, were in that reasonable range, or they were tiny, like that rookie kind of deal. Now, we look at the winners. Flacco, 7.0, or we'll just go with the percentage, 7%. And then it was Peyton Manning, okay, so let's not worry about that. Then it was Russell Wilson, that was below 1% again as a winner at the time. Peyton Manning, right? So what we're seeing here is Tom Brady, then Nick Foles at 1%. But even if you look at him plus the starter, Carson Wentz, it was, not big because Carson Wentz was on a rookie deal. Then it was Brady, and then it was Mahomes at 3%.
Yeah.
So the whole theory here, and we went through that slowly, but it's important. What you're saying is, if you don't have one of the 5 best quarterbacks of all time, or you don't have a quarterback on a rookie deal, you don't win the Super Bowl. It's like literally not one example.
Yeah, and Seattle was really, I think they were sort of the first team that put together this model, and other teams around it were scrambling. I think the LA Rams scrambled to try and follow the Seattle model. Until we have to pay our quarterback, let's gun it and try and get this done. Same with Philadelphia. Seattle was the first one. So since then, I don't think it's any coincidence they haven't been back.
And the question becomes, it'd be one thing to say, because what I've always believed, you either have, or not always, but in the last couple of years, is if you have listen, this is one of those chocolate vanillas. I'm not sure in fact, I don't think he meets that criteria for me. You think he does? That's a very reasonable disagreement. But do you believe that Dak has just gotten unlucky and that in truth, if they replayed those prior seasons, in a situation that Dallas would have won a bunch? Or do you think Dak's just going to get better as time goes on?
I think he's going to get better, and I think that
2012. So Brady, whatever he did in 2004 doesn't count, right? So it's a pretty good, if you trust QBR, which I know it's ESPN, so a lot of people like to say, oh, the ESPN's an idiot. I don't love everything on ESPN. QBR is a good number. It's the one number I trust most in quarterbacks, if you could just give me one. Here's the list of the best, you're going to like this one. Here's the list of the best quarterbacks since, right? So since 2012. And Russell Wilson is not very high. Tom Brady number 1. Drew Brees number 2. So far that makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah. Okay. Now remember, Mahomes hasn't played 3 years, so he's not on the list. Lamar Jackson's not on the list. You know, Mahomes has been in the league 3, but he only got a QBR 2 years, right? All right. Number 3, Dak Prescott. Number 4, Matt Ryan. Number 5, Big Ben. Number 6, Russell Wilson. Number 7, Aaron Rodgers. So first off, this is plugging into the Aaron Rodgers skepticism that we have in Straight Out of Vegas. Personally, I do. RJ. Literally, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan, Big Ben, Russell Wilson had a better QBR average over the years. But the idea that Wilson is behind a Matt Ryan, behind a Dak Prescott, I think Brady and Brees people accept. Now you might say, RJ, didn't you just hear Jonas? You talked about this magical turn that Russell Wilson made where he started getting better and better. Okay, we also expected that argument, so we said let's just take the last 2 years and use that as a gauge of the trend line. Russell Wilson's average QBR over his entire career is 66.6. I'm not going to say there's anything to that, but it's 66.6. His average QBR the last 2 years, 66.6. Exactly the same. So I think the eye test tells me Russell's better, though the case can be made he doesn't have the best supporting cast now, so it's affecting his QBR. But in general, that 66.6, let's look at the last 2-year QBR. By far the best, and it's not even close, is Drew Brees. 75.5 is his QBR. The next best QBR is Big Ben at 69. Now remember, Big Ben didn't get a QBR last year, so okay. So the guy who's supposed to be the old man, Drew Brees, over the course since 2012, his QBR is right around 70, but it's 75.5 the last 2 years combined. Now Tom Brady's a great example of the drop-off, right? He's number 1, as we said, over the span of since 12, about 70, but he's got 61 the last 2 years. He is trending down, down, down. Dak Prescott, amazingly, over his career is 68, but it's 63 the last couple years. It looks like he's gone down. Again, there could be vagaries, so you can have a little variation. But in general, Russell Wilson has the same QBR the last 2 years as he has in his career, and this is to the decimal. And it's worse than Big Ben, Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. So, my point is, when Pro Football Focus comes out and says, oh, over the decade, he's in the 30s, well, at least with quarterbacks, he isn't. Because I think most lists of people I like now would say Russell Wilson's the second best quarterback. It's Patrick Mahomes, and then you hear Russell Wilson second, and then if it's a Lamar fan, it'll be Lamar second, Russell third. I don't think I've seen a list in a long time that doesn't have Russell Wilson in the top 3 of current quarterbacks. Would you agree that that's the perception out there, Jonas, and also that you agree with it?
Yeah, top 3, yeah, for sure.
So when I ask you, and I'm not saying you're supposed to have the answer for this, that if the numbers tell us that no, Matt Ryan's clearly been better, no, Dak Prescott's clearly been better, Big Ben's been better, that doesn't feel right to you.
No, I disagree. I think he's better than all those guys.
So that's the question, right? Is you got nothing to go by, and I have nothing to go by when it comes to my opinion other than the eye test or the numbers. Now, do you particularly dislike QBR?
I just don't think QBR is the end-all be-all.
So what's your, if I said one number, what would it be?
I don't know that there's one number. You watch the game, you can tell who makes plays and who doesn't. I trust more the eye test than I do a QBR. I don't know that anybody can definitively tell you what a QBR actually represents.
Well, the people who invented it certainly.
I mean, yeah, but what, like, if you had to ask, like, what is
a very, and again, I wasn't, again, my knowledge of it is 2 inches deep, but what I'll say is this, that it does better than passer rating, which used to be is one, it accounts for running, because quarterbacks run, and if you can run well, you've got to account for that. And that's why Lamar Jackson always, is very highly rated with QBR, because he runs very well. Number 2, it accounts for the scenario, what success represents on a given play. So the thing Football Outsiders talks about, and it's great, if it's 4th and 9 and you get 8 yards, that is not a successful play. Okay? They're going to give you that play in a way. Oh, they're not going to give you 8, they're going to give you 5, you know what I'm saying. Maybe you struggle for the last couple. But if it's 3rd and 3, 4 yards is a successful play. So it tries to say, given the context of the score in the down and distance, is this really as good as the raw numbers of X yards look? And it accounts for strength of schedule, as in who you're playing. It really is like a really good stat. And I'm not saying that it makes you wrong about Russell Wilson. I'm saying that in general, no stat I've seen comes close to it if it's just one for football, or for quarterbacking. Though I get the whole idea that you could say, well, if we look at yards per attempt, and then we consider this, but you know what makes that all BS to me? Is the idea that you'll hear, like, Skip and Shannon talking, and it says, well, Dak had this many yards, and the other one says, yeah, but remember the second half against Green Bay, how easy that... Once you get to the point you can invalidate anything by talking about garbage time, then the numbers don't mean anything. You either got to forget that garbage time exists, or you got to have a number that accounts for that, right? So, I think Russell Wilson has love and hate for the same reason. That this is a guy that came in, and this is going to seem out of left field, but tell me if you agree, Jonas. I'm RJ Bell, straight out of Vegas. He came in and said, I'm not going to have sex until I'm married, right? And if you're a religious person, you're going to look at this and say, holy cow, this guy's like from the 50s. And let's be honest, too. If you're a lot of people who like the old school values, and I'm not saying everybody, but in general, you wouldn't say they love, and that's the funny thing, is, and maybe let me clarify, you don't think of, like, let's say, the Southern conservative, your Republican voting bloc, let's say, because obviously there's a lot of, African Americans in this country who are very religious, whereas, you go down south and you see, just going back in history with Martin Luther King, and a lot of the growth in the minority culture has stemmed from, at least it started with the religious stuff. So to me, I very much respect that, but if you look at the typical voting bloc of, let's say, if you say this wouldn't be typically a football fan, or this is a football fan who's old school, the Archie Bunker football, maybe that's the best way to say it. Archie Bunker would probably like Russell Wilson more than he likes Patrick Mahomes. Because Archie Bunker is going to say, hey, premarital sex is against what God says, no matter what Archie Bunker did in his youth, right? And it just feels like that, in a way, Russell Wilson got some fans because of him having, let's say, some values that other people can relate to. And it also caused him to be questioned. Because it was like, you're putting a standard up that is making the rest of us look bad. And wasn't that something that on within his own team, there was reporting that there was some conflict in the locker room?
Yeah, no, that one came out with his teammates, and there was a big article that came out, Richard Sherman talking trash to him during practice, and teammates, the defensive guys especially, maybe not being able to relate to him because he wasn't, at the characteristics or personality traits weren't the same with some of those other guys. And there was some rumors out there about, his wife at the time, and possibly there was some sort of an affair that took place with a teammate. Like, there's been some stuff out there, and it felt like there wasn't a lot of support for him amongst some of his defensive players, or especially the players on the defensive side of the football.
And I think we got to get the news update. But I think what we're seeing here is it's not just a coincidence that he's divisive when it comes to people's opinions. And meaning he has qualities that make it where some people like him more than maybe his play on the field warrants, and other people like him less because of that. And to me, it's not a coincidence that there's more disagreement with Russell Wilson when it comes to how good he is. My gut feeling is it's probably right in the middle. At least that's what the numbers say. So let's get that live news update and we'll continue.
That's coming up next. For all the latest though from around the world of sports, it's Dan Byer.
NASCAR announced they'll continue racing each weekend through June 21st. They'll head to Darlington this weekend and then Charlotte next weekend. But after that, NASCAR set their schedule. They'll race without fans at Bristol, Atlanta, Martinsville, Homestead, Miami, and at Talladega. A report from ESPN says the Reds will furlough approximately 25% of their employees and will also institute a 20% pay cut to some employees through the end of the year. Yankees GM Brian Cashman says outfielder Aaron Judge is still recovering from a rib injury and won't be ready to play until summertime. Seahawks have signed quarterback Geno Smith to a one-year deal. He'll be the backup to Russell Wilson, while some including women to you guys.
Thanks, Dan. Straight out of Vegas here on Fox Sports Radio. Coming up in about 10 minutes from now here on FSR, we will dive back into a same-day pickup. You can place your order on today. Sometimes you can't get it all.
Modern take on nicotine has arrived. Say hello to Velo hassle-free nicotine pouches. It's a game changer made for game changers. Whether you're grinding in a boardroom or from your basement, producing a podcast, or prepping a photo shoot, writing code, or commanding a crowd, whatever your hustle is, Velo's ready. Visit Velo.com now to find your retailer. Website restricted to age 21 plus tobacco consumer. Underage sale prohibited.
At AutoZone, we've always been here to help you get what you need to go where you need. That hasn't changed. In need of an oil change? Right now you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX high mileage motor oil and an FTP oil filter for just $27.99. And if you need something fast, you can get it fast, your way. Whether it's next day delivery or free same day pickup, in store or curbside, the choice is yours. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Restrictions and details on AutoZone.com.
This report is sponsored by Godiva.
Good news here on 787, traffic northbound approaching exit number 4. That collision was finally cleared from the roadway. We're now incident-free and delay-free up and down the line on 787. Power City Bridge has gotten better going eastbound into Troy. No complaints on alternate 7. Be nice to volume both ways as you travel in Latham near alternate 7 and both ways as you travel through South Corners and southbound a little slow approaching 146 in Clifton Park. Up and down the north lane, we're good. From the WGY Price Chopper Market 32 Traffic Center, I'm Mike Barker.
Godiva has donated chocolate, coffee, and other treats to hospital workers, doctors, nurses, and caregivers. Godiva has also partnered with Tenet Healthcare Corporation and ACA Healthcare to donate over 600,000 pieces of chocolate to both hospital networks across the country. Sweet.
This Vegas States is Sports Radio.
This is Clay Travis and Dan Patrick.
Fox Sports 980. Blasting away now on 95.9 FM.
Hey, it's Zach Harris. Join me Friday nights at 5 for the Friday Night Tailgate. It's an hour packed with everything you need to know about the Capital Region sports scene. The Friday Night Tailgate, Friday nights at 5 on Fox Sports 980 and 95.9 FM. Driven by Mohawk Chevrolet in Clifton Park.
iHeartMedia knows small businesses across the country are facing new challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic. So to help, we put together the iHeartRadio Small Business Crisis Resource, which has critical information, including links to federal and state resources, providing businesses with stimulus loans, grants, and other financial aid. We also shine a spotlight on small businesses doing good right now. Visit iHeart.com/smallbusiness to learn more. That's iHeart.com/smallbusiness. Because your small business is big to us.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents.
What would you like today?
Yes, I'd like to tell you that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
This is Burger Palace. Do you want any food?
Yes, one Palace party meal.
No, we won't put insects on a burger.
No, you can't talk to the manager. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Are you a qualified ICU nurse looking to make a real difference as we all weather the COVID-19 storm? Prime Staffing, a New York-based healthcare professional recruitment company, is searching the tri-state area and nationwide to recruit highly skilled ICU nurses. Prime Staffing is now offering up to 3 times the normal wage to work in hospitals in greater New York, where new COVID-19 cases continue to rise. As always, nurses are on the front lines providing vital care to patients, but right now hospitals are dramatically understaffed. Prime Staffing has been given the enormous task of recruiting thousands of needed nurses for intensive care units to supplement New York City's overburdened hospitals. If you are an ICU nurse who wants to heed the call, please reach out via Facebook at Prime Staffing NYC. Nurses can also email resumes directly to COVID-19 at primestaffingnyc.com. That's COVID-19 at primestaffingnyc.com.
With Advanced Auto Parts, you get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. Order online and get your part with same-day pickup, curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need. Advance your auto at Advanced Auto Parts.
Right now, today, Lowe's is open. Open to build, open to reassure, open to provide the help, support, and supplies that keep our homes working. Open to the idea that when we work together, we can bring it all together. It's what we've always done, and what we'll continue to do. Because home is what unites us. Lowe's, here for you, in store for 24/7 at Lowe's.com.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere. Allow you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoy the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
This is Fox Sports 980 and 95.9 FM. We've been waiting to hear those words. Drivers, start your engine. NASCAR is back. Live from Darlington Sunday at 3:30 Eastern on Fox.
Straight out of Vegas.
And I'm Jonas Knox, voice of you, the fan, and we've been discussing Russell Wilson and his value in the NFL.
Oh man, great conversation. I love these one-topic shows, baby. I love it. We get to dig in deep. So what do we figure out? One, it's not crazy that Seattle considered this because history tells us rookie deals allow you on quarterbacks to pay for a lot of other good players. And once they become those big dollar veterans, it's tougher to win. And history says, at least since 2012, either a top 5 quarterback of all time, Peyton Manning and Brady, or you have a rookie deal. That's the only 2 ways to win a Super Bowl. That's the only 2 teams or types of teams that have won a Super Bowl since 2012. We've also said, hey, how good is Russell Wilson? On one hand, you have Colin Cowherd and Jonas Knox and Fezzik, that crowd, they love him. He's so good. But there's others. Where Football Focus, for example, came out today and said he's in the 30s when it came to how good he was this decade, 2010. Marshawn Lynch was a better player this decade, according to Football Focus, than Russell Wilson. That seems crazy. So I got to thinking, why would there be such a disparity? And then we thought on it. This guy is divisive. Russell Wilson is divisive. Now how? What? Well, he's got some pretty strong opinions about how to live life, and it makes some people love him, maybe more than the numbers say, because the interesting thing is, as we looked at the numbers, Russell Wilson was good, but not great in his career if you look at QBR. The 6th best scoring in the era, but Dak Prescott ahead of him, Matt Ryan ahead of him. Most people wouldn't agree with that. And as we thought of the divisiveness, it dawned on us, well, wait a minute. If there's disruption in the locker room, and Jonas, I want to bring you in here, isn't that another reason Seattle might have considered this? That, hey, if he's causing trouble with other players, not because of actions, but because of his belief system, hey, getting Kaepernick out of town made sense. sense. Why? At least to some people, in that he's causing disruption. But wouldn't it be the same thing with Russell Wilson?
Well, I actually think that they addressed it, but they went in the opposite direction when they got rid of those defensive players, the guy with the loud personalities, the Richard Shermans and those guys in that locker room. I thought they were making a statement that they were backing Russell Wilson to move forward with him as opposed to those other guys. This actually makes me wonder if maybe the contract negotiations were a little bit more dicey than were reported, and maybe Russell Wilson and his camp just wasn't willing to work with Seattle on anything, and they had to look at every option available.
We'll look at it like this. Reported today from Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. He said that it's his belief that, or at least he has, let's say it this way, I want to be very specific. He has people telling him inside the organization that the idea of Russell Wilson being with Seattle in a couple years is very unlikely. So just today, the idea that, oh, is this in the past now? Because the reporting about the 2018, maybe this was, as you said, made a decision to go forward with Russell and make that commitment. But then you're getting reporting coming out. We don't know if it's exactly right. It seems unlikely he'll be there in even 2 years when it's still in his prime. Maybe that conflict and divisiveness has not ended.
The Odd Couple is next on many of these Fox Sports radio affiliates. We are straight out of Vegas. Back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 o'clock Pacific, right here on Fox Sports Radio. And as always, you can find the show on the iHeart Radio app.
At AutoZone, we've always been here to help you get what you need to go where you need. That hasn't changed. In need of an oil change? Right now you can get 5 quarts of cash-filled GTX high-mileage motor oil and an FTP oil filter for just $27.99. And if you need something fast, you can get it fast when you're looking. Whether it's next-day delivery or free same-day pickup, in-store or curbside, the choice is yours. AutoZone. Descriptions and details on AutoZone.com.
With the novel coronavirus pandemic escalating in the U.S., Grow, the parent company of Rona, is offering free telehealth services for people seeking guidance and information on COVID-19. Their free online assessment is based on guidelines from the CDC and the World Health Organization and can help determine if you are at risk. If appropriate, Grow will connect you with a medical provider for a free consultation. Visit ro.co/coronavirus on your phone or laptop to complete a free online assessment. That's ro.co/coronavirus. You go to the mechanic in here, ask her to clear a plate. Nope, we have the flamethrower. That sounds wrong. You know what else sounds wrong? When you hear about the interest they're earning on your savings with the largest banks. But with a mark like Gold, Lowe's is open. Open to build. Open to reassure. Open to provide the help, support, and supplies that keep our homes working. Open to the idea that when we work together, we can bring it all together. It's what we've always done, and what we'll continue to do. Because home is what unites us. Lowe's, here for you, in-store or 24/7 at Lowe's.com.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late, we stay informed, we invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our families. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans. I didn't want to talk. She just sat with me. It was all I really needed.
We got that. And of course, we went to different cities. One day we called me out of the blue, and it's comforting to know that I always secure my hand to have my back.
We hadn't talked for a while, and then she texted me, and we went for a walk.
She called me from time to time. I really didn't think I needed any help.
I was away from my family in the holidays, and a friend invited me to their house for dinner. It really meant a lot.
You
took me from being really depressed to feeling like somebody cared to give me some hope. Just that one text. Be there. Your cause. Your presence. Your words. Your support. Be there and help save a life. Learn more about preventing suicide at veterancrisisline.net.
Here's this week's iHeartRadio countdown of the top TV streams.
Here's what you've been watching on TV this week. We kick things off with the animated Fox comedy American Dad, complete with an appearance by the weekend. The episode, A Starboy Informed, takes fifth place. Then over on the BBC, we have Killing Eve at number 4 with the episode Still Got It. A Murder of Crows stirs up superstitions on Bravo's Below Deck Sailing Yacht. That takes third place this week. Next, Mercury wins Gatorade on Vanderpump Rules. The Bravo reality series finds itself at number 2.
Spotlight on small businesses doing good right now. Visit iHeart.com/smallbusiness to learn more. That's iHeart.com/smallbusiness. Because your small business is big to us.
Sweet and salty bars from Nature Valley are a perfect combination of sweet and salty. So take a moment for yourself out here. You deserve every last bite. Nature Valley Sweet and Salty Bars. Now available in minis. WGY AM Schenectady, WGY FM Albany, the Capital Region's breaking news, traffic, and weather station.
Listen anywhere on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio wants to help with a chance at $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword SMILE to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest.
Jim Gagliardi, News Radio 810 and 103.1 WGY. With New York being the epicenter of the coronavirus in the country, New York State facing a massive budget shortfall. At his daily COVID briefing on Thursday, Governor Cuomo repeated his call for federal funding for state.
If local governments get cut, then you cut police.
Says New York will trend down in New York. Albany County Executive Dan McCoy announced 4 additional new deaths. And from coronavirus, he joins 2 men, while most
69, and they're like trailing a little bit behind 50 to 59-year-olds.
in Albany, 1,398 positive cases of coronavirus, an increase of 12 from when
uncertainly ready for business. iHeart. Go to www.iheartmedia.com. We are with you and for you.
Who wants to play a game? Oh, me. Okay. What's a 7-letter word that starts with a vowel in a store with the biggest selection of firearms in the area? No, that's 8 letters.
Upstate.
Now you got it. The biggest selection of firearms in store and online at BecauseWe'reNotDicks.com. Over 300 used guns in stock and more cases of new guns than you can shake a liquor at. Give Upstate Guns and Ammo a call at 370-GUNS or stop in and check us out for yourself at 3410 State Street in Nisqually.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my Shelter Pets Breaking Chair, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt Pure Love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
WGY AccuWeather forecast for tonight, cloudy. Periods of rain likely developing later tonight and for the overnight low 54. Then for tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, couple of showers on Friday morning. Then the chance of maybe strong to severe thunderstorms late Friday afternoon into early Friday night. Friday high 76. For Saturday, sunny and pleasant. Saturday high 73. And I'm Jim Gagliardi, News Radio 810 and 103.1 WGY. Capital Region's breaking news, traffic, and weather station.
It's that break before the stock market tanked. He says he relied solely on news reports to guide his stock decisions. A federal appeals court in Virginia has reversed a ruling that blocked a lawsuit related to the president's ownership of a Washington, D.C. hotel. It deals with whether foreign governments booking rooms in that hotel violates anti-corruption provisions in the Constitution. Maryland, the District of Columbia are behind the suit. The president's lawyers call it harassment. The ruling sends the case to a federal judge in Maryland who has consistently ruled against President Trump. You're listening to the CBS World News Roundup.
I'm listening, making sure you stay connected. Here to help end the stigma of talking about mental health. Here's
therapist Dr. Chris Donahue with a daily mental checklist.
The first thing you can do every day is start your day by asking yourself, what am I grateful for? That sets a positive tone. Also, in what ways and with whom am I going to connect to today? Because again, we're working on reaching out to others, letting them connect to us, but also making sure we're not getting lonely and isolated. We also want to look at expectations we have on ourselves. Be flexible, hold it loosely, allow yourself to have a day that is not necessarily normal or the standard. Also, making sure you're going outside. In what ways am I going to go outside for sunlight and fresh air? And finally, how today am I going to move my body? Because movement is part of physical health, but also mental health.
Now more than ever, let's stay connected and end the stigma of talking about mental health. Find out more at imlistening.org.
It's a sign of difficult times, people robbing their retirement savings to get by. And Colder reports.
With tens of millions of Americans out of work, many are turning to their retirement funds designed to fund their golden years for immediate expenses like groceries, rent, or paying off debt. The survey found the average amount taken out of retirement accounts over 2 months was about $6,700. The report says one reason for the early withdrawals is a provision in a virus relief bill that waives the early withdrawal penalty.
New concerns over the potential spread of COVID-19 within the White House after researchers at NYU found the current rapid coronavirus tests used on White House officials can produce false negatives in nearly half of all cases. The test by Abbott Laboratories returns positive results in 5 minutes and negative in 13 minutes. That compares to about 45 minutes for machine testing. The time on the roundup is 7 minutes past the hour.
Hey, New York and New Jersey, now you can bank anywhere you see NYCB. With over 160 branches locally, New York Community Bank operates through the following divisions: Queens County Savings Bank, Roslyn Savings Bank, Richmond County Savings Bank, Roosevelt Savings Bank, Atlantic Bank, and Garden State Community Bank. Visit us at mynycb.com. If you had COVID-19 and got better, you could help others by donating your blood. Mayo Clinic is leading a national emergency access program using donated blood plasma to help patients in the hospital with COVID-19. We ask those who have recovered from COVID-19 to donate plasma in the month following recovery when antibodies are strong to help us help others. Visit uscovidplasma.org and join the fight. Thousands are waiting at uscovidplasma.org.
WCBS News Time is 7:08. It's time for traffic and weather together on the 8th. We head to the traffic center first and Tom Kaminsky.
We are seeing big delays, Linda, on the southbound side of the Garden State Parkway. That is right in that area at 145, right at Route 280. For quite a while this week, we had the northbound lanes blocked with only one lane open with that road work, and now it is time for the southbound side, so we're still jammed right in that area from at least 148 down through 145. The road work in place in a couple of spots on the Connecticut Turnpike, one on in the area from exit 5 right up to exit 8 and 9, only one lane getting by there, and the road work on the Merritt Parkway southbound, we're loaded up there from 44 on down through 41. Also, some trouble now on the Cross Bronx, eastbound Jerome Avenue, a collision. Only one lane is getting by there. I'm Tom Kaminsky with WCBS Traffic Center.
Let's get a check of our weather forecast now. We go over to the Weather Center to meteorologist Danielle Middle.
Well, we are going to see a shower, definitely a couple of spots early on here tonight. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with a few showers returning late tonight and into tomorrow morning. It'll be milder compared to the lows of 53 to 57 across the area. For the rest of tomorrow, becoming brief and much warmer with some intervals of sunshine. 84 degrees the high for the city and inland suburbs. We'll stay in the 70s, though, for much of Long Island and Connecticut. We'll have a couple of showers and thunderstorms around tomorrow evening, but any of those storms tomorrow evening have the potential to produce some torrential downpours, some localized damaging wind gusts, and possibly even some hail. Will dry out later on tomorrow night, below 62, and then looking at a pretty nice day for Saturday with a good deal of sunshine, high 76 degrees. Right now, 58 degrees in Long Beach, it's 64 in Teaneck. We have 62 degrees in Midtown, going down tonight to a low of 57. Linda?
WCBS News Time is 7:10. It's the news many have been waiting for.
will be open for Memorial Day, but there will be rules to follow, as we hear from WCBS's Steve Burns.
It's what so many families have been envisioning through these months at home. A day down the shore. And I am proud now to be able to give them that day. Governor Murphy says the Jersey Shore will be open for Memorial Day weekend. We want everyone to have fun, but we need everyone to be safe. With that in mind, he's requiring shore towns to implement capacity restrictions. This can be done through methods including limiting the numbers of available beach tags for any given day, or through utilizing technology such as with a geographic spatial analysis. And it still won't be the full shore experience. Amusement parks and boardwalk games will stay closed, contact sports aren't allowed on the beach, and fireworks shows are called off. Murphy says the numbers allowed him to make this decision. Social distancing has worked. It is still working and will continue to work in the weeks to come. Though he says New Jersey is currently still the most impacted state in the country, leading in hospital patients and deaths per capita. Steve Burns, WCBS News Radio 880.
Governor Cuomo today held his daily coronavirus briefing in Syracuse, one of the regions of the state set to begin to reopen its economy tomorrow. But the governor, as always, was focused on the numbers. WCBS's Rich Lamb has more.
While Governor Cuomo announced that the number of deaths at 157 yesterday continues downward on the chart, along with other key indicators such as hospitalizations and intubations, which are also reducing in numbers statewide, he expressed worries and the latest concern relating to young people, where numbers have been rising rapidly.
Department of Health is now looking at 120 cases of COVID-related illness in children, similar to what we call Kawasaki.
The governor said
he heard me out.
That's all the governor said about that. But he did say Mr. Trump cut some red tape into sending $3.9 billion to the cash-starved MTA.
Time now for financial because of coronavirus, and then he lost his sense of smell and taste and began to feel worse. The Florida Marlins will furlough 9. And those are your sports headlines. WCBS News Time is 7:13.
Your network is built to handle the capacity that today more. That's why we're providing access to advertising resources. Spectrum News Networks. We're also working with SCORE, a nonprofit resource partner of the U.S. Small Business Administration that has mentors and advisors to help you navigate financial assistance and other challenges your business may be facing at no cost to you. To learn more about what Spectrum Business is doing and how we can help your small business, visit business.spectrum.com/count on us today. All trademarks of the property of their respective owners. Visit website for details.
Now would be a great time to
DuckDuckGo, and I see the difference right away. Take back your privacy with DuckDuckGo.
You're never more. One, another 2.9 million workers filed jobless claims last week. So far, a whistleblower who says his warnings about coronavirus went unheeded. At 3, Mayor de Blasio says his health commissioner owes the NYPD an apology if reports of an ugly remark are true. Type Victims Compensation Fund for essential workers. WCBS reporter Peter Haskell has details.
The bill is modeled after the 9/11 DCF and will cover more than just healthcare workers. Manhattan Carolyn
delivery, janitorial, mail.
This isn't just about the past, but WCBS News Radio 880.
A new study shows the coronavirus is causing devastating damage to some patients' organs, particularly kidney failure. Researchers found that 37% of more than the 5,000 patients treated at Northwell Health hospitals from March 1st to April 5th developed acute kidney injury or kidney failure. and the fatality rate was high. 1,900 was linked to respiratory failure. About 90% of the patients on ventilators developed kidney failure. Older males and black patients with COVID-19 were at high risk. WCS News Time is 7:18. Time now for traffic and weather together on the 8th, sponsored by Lincoln. And your time for this week.
Head over to the George Washington Bridge. The inbound side window is heavy now. Pardon me, with about a 10-minute delay getting in, and then very heavy on the upper level. That is the overnight construction going in on the upper level under the apartment. So we're heavy right across the span. And then as you come out into the daylight on the crosswalks, it stays heavy right on out through the area of Jerome Avenue with a collision, and the right lane is still blocked there. Southbound BQE, we're seeing delays getting into Atlantic Avenue. We had a crash. One lane was closed there. Garden State Parkway, the delays have actually built up again a little bit from 151 in Nutley right on down to 145. That is the ongoing paving project. Only one lane is getting by there. And the Connecticut Turnpike from exit 5 and old Greenwich right up through exits 8 and 9 in Stamford. Ongoing construction right there. That's going to run through the overnight. And Connor Pinsky in the WCBS Traffic Center.
Link Home Care provides unparalleled home care 24/7 to those who need. They are not just another agency. Link is family, serving all 5 boroughs to make the transition to home care smooth and easy for everyone. Visit linkhomecare.com to learn more. Link Home Care, you've got to think Link. And right now, let's get a check of our 5-day forecast. Here's meteorologist Danielle Middle. A few places will see a shower early on tonight, otherwise mostly cloudy. And a couple of showers overnight and into early tomorrow morning. Lows tonight 53 to 57. The rest of tomorrow will turn breezy and much warmer with some sun at times going up to 84 degrees for the city and inland suburbs. 70s though for much of Long Island and Connecticut. Have a couple of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow evening. Any thunderstorm could produce some torrential downpours, damaging wind gusts, and even possibly some hail. Will dry out later tomorrow night, low 62. A good deal of sun for Saturday, 76. For Sunday, much cooler, perhaps a late day shower, 64. And a shower or two for Monday, 61 degrees. Right now, it's 59 degrees in Greenlawn, 60 in Greenwich, and here in Manhattan, we've got some cloudy. Gone awry in Brooklyn. A woman is under arrest for striking a police officer in a scuffle that erupted over her improperly worn face covering. Kalima Rosier is charged with resisting arrest and disorderly conduct. Her arrest yesterday was captured on video. Rosier, with her mask down around her neck, is with her young child and is seen on the video and heard arguing with police at the Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center station. Cops moved to give her the boot from the transit system, and when things turned ugly, Rosier is forced to the ground in the video after she's seen slapping an officer's hand away. Mayor de Blasio says face masks aren't optional, but no one, says the mayor, wants to see an interaction turn into this.
I want the day to come when there are no such videos, when people can really have faith in each other, and that's what we will strive for, and we will work on that every single day.
Mayor de Blasio coronavirus briefing this morning. Many gun store owners have defied orders to close their doors. New York and 4 other states ordered gun dealers to close in April under the statewide coronavirus shutdown. FBI data shows dealers in those states initiated tens of thousands of gun background checks last month. The number of checks in New York hovered just below the normal level. Well, as parts of New York State start to reopen as soon as tomorrow, some of the businesses on Long Island that are not considered essential want that consideration unchanged. Here's WCBS's Sophia Hall. Nassau County Executive Laura Curran says she speaks to members of the Economic Advisory Council. Open safely. One item they are currently talking about moving some businesses into the essential column. Residential construction is one of them. Medically necessary elective care and surgery is another one. We're finding a lot of our hospitals are having a hard time getting people in to get routine screenings, to get certain kinds of surgeries that they need. And private gardens, like gardens at Old Westbury. She says parks are currently open, so private gardens with large open spaces should also be considered essential. Sophia Hall, WCBS News Radio, 880. WCBS News Time, 723.
And sometimes cringe when we look back at our fashion choices. But in between flashbacks of bowl cuts and dancing,
outdated and home movies, VHS tapes, film reels, and photos are trading. LegacyBox.com/gift. And for a limited time, get 40% off your order. That's LegacyBox.com/gift for 40% off. LegacyBox.com/gift.
The model for world-class competition has always been faster, higher, stronger. It's the same for Navient, makers of condensing tankless water heaters. Faster to install and set up. Higher performance and efficiency to provide endless hot water. Stronger with the industry's strongest warranty. All because of the copper-free stainless steel heat exchanger built into every tool. Learn about Navient's condensing tankless water heaters. Find Navient contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com. That's tanklessmadesimple.com.
Small businesses are grappling with the impact of these uncertain times and looking for resources. That's why Dell Technologies assembled an all-star lineup of podcasters to create the first ever virtual conference to share advice and inspiration for small businesses. Dell Technologies is here, from keeping you connected while working remotely with Windows 10 and Microsoft Teams to providing relevant content for businesses. Search Dell Technologies Small Business Conference on radio.com or Apple Podcasts.
WCBS News Time is 7:25. Time for Money News now. And here's Bloomberg's Tracy Donkey. Wall Street's trading has been happening from a distance for a few weeks now, but the president of the New York Stock Exchange, writing in the Wall Street Journal, says the exchange floor will reopen to some brokers after Memorial Day, a little more than 2 months after it closed to all. The Dow this morning was falling more than 400 points. Now it's up 377 points at 23,625. The Nasdaq at the closing bell up 81 points at 89.44. The S&P up 33 points. Carnival is cutting jobs and cutting hours and wages for those who remain. The world's largest cruise company doesn't say how many people are being cut. Delta Airlines is warning its pilots that it is massively overstaffed for the collapse in travel demand. About 14,000 pilots fly for Delta. It expects to need only 7,000 by the summer's end. In a memo to staff, a Delta executive calls that an alarming number. With Money News at 25 and 55 on WCBS, I'm Bloomberg's Tracy Johnson.
To see now what these brave warriors are doing in the hospitals, not only life-saving treatment to people, but every single day putting themselves at risk. I just think that the American public owe a phenomenal debt of gratitude.
A message from WCBS 880 and the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation, honoring heroes in the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic in our community. Tunnel to Towers is supporting the families of healthcare workers who lose their lives to COVID-19 and leave behind young children. And the foundation is supplying hospitals with personal protective equipment to help keep these heroes safe. Tunnel to Towers has been supporting frontline heroes since 9/11. Join their mission to do good and support our heroes. Donate $11 a month by going to tunneltotowers.org. That's tunneltotowers.org. Or by calling 1-844-BRAVEST.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project will never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org. Okay, you know how it feels when you've saved enough for that long-awaited home edition? Now imagine an addition on that addition. That's the feeling with Capital One, where a new savings account earns an interest rate 5 times the national average. That's right, 5 times. As represented by 5 times more seniors. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA member FDIC.
Want the same internet but more privacy? DuckDuckGo's got you covered. They help millions of people like you get privacy online without any trade-offs. With one download, you can search and privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
WCBS News Time is 7:28. Time for traffic and weather together on the 8th, sponsored by DuckDuckGo Privacy. And one more time, we head over to the traffic center. Tom Clancy.
And one more time, Linda, the overnight work being set up at the upper separate level at the GWB, so we've actually got about a 10-minute delay or so into the toll plaza, really heavy across, and then stays heavy coming out into the daylight on the eastbound side of the Cross Bronx at Jerome Avenue. Only the left lane is getting by there. With a collision, we had a second crash around the Bronx River Parkway. That at least has now been cleared away. Southbound BQB still very heavy from at least the area of Flushing Avenue down toward Atlantic Avenue. Collision there. Mostly off to the shoulder, although there's really not a whole big shoulder there at Atlantic Avenue. It sounds like it might be off to the zebra stripes, but in any case, still very heavy there, and some delays continuing on the outbound side of the Gowanus right out toward the Prospect. Overnight work in place and staying there on the Garden State Parkway, southbound 151 right down to 145. We have that ongoing paving project that's going to be running right through the weekend. Still on the road, easy does it. We'll see you again tomorrow. Here's Danielle Middle with the WCBS weather update.
Well, a stray shower early on this evening, especially north and northwest of the city. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with a few showers making a return late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Lows tonight 53 to 57. The rest of tomorrow is going to be a much warmer day with some intervals of sunshine. 84 degrees the high for the city and inland suburbs will be in the 70s. For much of Long Island and Connecticut, a couple of showers and storms return for tomorrow evening.
More than just the headlines. This is WCBS News Radio 880.
The beaches at the Jersey Shore will be open for Memorial Day weekend, but with restrictions. Mayor de Blasio says Health Commissioner Oxides Barbeau owes the NYPD an apology if reports about the harsh comments he made about their access to protective equipment are true. Governor Cuomo says a fifth region in New York can start reopening tomorrow. Central New York, which includes Syracuse. North Carolina Senator Richard Burr's phone was seized by the FBI as part of an insider trading investigation. He stepped down as chair of the Intelligence Committee. And 2.9 million more workers filed for unemployment last week. 63 degrees right now on this Thursday, May 14th. I'm Linda Lopez. WCBS News Time is 7:31. Well, it's official. Surf's up at the Jersey Shore for Memorial Day weekend, but at a social distance. We get the details now from WCBS reporter Steve Burns.
After 2 months cooped up at home, it's the news New Jerseyans have been waiting to hear.
The data tells us we can make this announcement now.
The Jersey Shore will be open, but with some rules, says Governor Murphy.
We will be requiring restrictions on how many beachgoers may be allowed on any beach or lakefront.
The method to do that is up to individual towns, though Murphy says limiting daily beach tags could be an option.
Organized games and contact sports will be prohibited, as will beach recreational summer camps and special events that draw people to the beach, such as concerts, festivals, or fireworks.
So in Sea Isle City, Mayor Len Desiderio says he'll have police roaming the beach.
Just giving people notification on what you can do and please to practice social distancing.
He says he doesn't want to arrest anyone, but anyone not following the rules will be dealt with.
I think everyone's going to be able to police themselves.
Steve Burns, WCBS News Radio 880.
Central New York, which includes Syracuse, is the latest region to meet the criteria for reopening. It can officially get started at 12:01 tomorrow morning when New York pause expires for them. Governor Cuomo says it's up to local leaders to make sure it goes smoothly.
A big responsibility is now going to fall to local government to manage this situation. And my advice to local governments are, in terms of priority, daily monitoring of numbers. Daily monitoring of numbers and daily monitoring of numbers are the first three priorities, right? Know the facts, know what you're dealing with. You know what activities you engage. You know how you increase the level of activity.
All 5 regions that met the criteria for reopening are upstate. Well, Mayor de Blasio says New York will prove naysayers wrong. He predicts a strong comeback after the coronavirus crisis is over.
You may have seen different people theorizing, different people starting to talk about New York City's demise after the coronavirus, and I want to say up front, they got it all wrong. This was predicted even going back to the Depression, but certainly predicted after each of the things I mentioned, the fiscal crisis, 9/11, Hurricane Sandy, somehow New York City couldn't come back. Each and every time New York City has come back and come back stronger, literally come back stronger. The notion that somehow, because we kept that out of hand. Yes, things will change. A lot of folks are saying, for example, fewer people might work out of their offices. We'll find a way to make sense of that. We'll find a way to have new and exciting opportunities grow as they have constantly. And if you want a great example, look at our tech sector, which a couple of decades ago didn't exist, and now we're an international tech hub, one of the greatest in the world. We always have to believe in what's next, because that's what we do as New Yorkers. And human beings, we are social creatures. We need to be with each other. We need to collaborate. We need to think together. We need to experience things together. That may not be so possible for the next few months. But remember, the coronavirus crisis is time limited, by definition. A day is coming, and it's not too far in the future, where there will be a vaccine. And life will be very different in how we manage the coronavirus, just like we manage so many other diseases that are part of our world.
Mayor de Blasio at his coronavirus briefing this morning. WCBS News Time, 7:35.
CBS News Update. Brutal weekly unemployment numbers underscore the coronavirus pandemic's continued ability to destroy jobs, bringing the total to 36.5 million in 2 months. Nearly 3 million people filed fresh claims for unemployment benefits just last week. William Gonzalez is currently unemployed hotel worker in San Francisco.
One of the biggest concerns besides the money pay rent and bills is that we are not having any health insurance.
It comes as President Trump continues his push for states to reopen their economies, while some health professionals continue to say it's too early. Dr. Rick Bright tells Congress that the U.S. could face the darkest winter of recent times if it does not improve its response to the pandemic.
We have to make sure that we have some scientifically led and driven decisions on how and when it's safe to reopen America.
Bright was removed from his director post last month and reassigned. CBS News Update, I'm Matt Piper.
North Carolina Senator Richard Burr has stepped down as chairman of the Intelligence Committee after the FBI seized his mobile phone as part of an ongoing insider trading investigation that's connected to the coronavirus pandemic. We get more from Pam Coulter.
As the investigation of his stock trades during the pandemic intensifies, Senator Burr said he's giving up his important chairmanship temporarily.
This is a distraction to the hard work of the committee and the members, and I think the security of the country is too important to have a distraction.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell agreed Burr's decision is in the best interest of the committee, but fellow Republican Lindsey Graham said he doesn't believe Burr did anything criminally wrong. Pam Coulter, CBS News.
WCBS News Time, 7:36.
Asthma symptoms can attack anywhere, like on a city street. Now, you can get fast relief anywhere with new improved Primatene Mist, the only FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. So whether you need relief of symptoms at the park or at your kitchen table, Primatene Mist starts working quickly, opening up your airways to restore free breathing. For temporary relief of mild symptoms of intermittent asthma, use Primatene Mist and breathe easy again. Available at CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens. Use as directed.
Fridge had enough after the extra action in the house these last several weeks. Now you have an excuse to get the new one you'd be wanting. Lowe's can help with up to 40% off select appliances during our appliance savings event, including an LG InstaView side-by-side refrigerator for $12.99. With a generous amount of space, you'll have even more room to store your family's favorites. Get it fast by ordering at Lowe's.com or via our app. Best part, we're offering 12-month special financing and free delivery. Offers valid through 6/3. Free local delivery and credit applies to appliances $2.99 or more. Subject to credit approval. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
Since 1994, AmericanEagle.com, a family-owned web developer with over 500 technology professionals, has helped their clients weather many economic uncertainties. AmericanEagle.com knows how to leverage today's technology, delivering solutions for e-learning, remote business communications, e-commerce, and digital health, optimizing every organization's potential. Their world-class data center hosts thousands of websites and millions of transactions. In times like these, a reliable partner has never been more important. AmericanEagle.com provides a full range of integrated services, including web design, system integration, digital marketing, and hosting. This too shall pass. We will be stronger when the crisis subsides, and AmericanEagle.com is committed to building your organization's digital presence, driving growth and opportunity. Call AmericanEagle.com at 877-WebNow1. 877-WebNow1.
And taking a look at some of
place overnight tonight. The inbound Holland Tunnel is closed down for construction from 11 tonight until 5 a.m. Construction will take out one lane in both directions at the BQE, at Metropolitan Avenue and the Gowanus Expressway from 11 tonight until 6. In Connecticut, roadwork blocks one lane in both directions of the Merritt Parkway. That's between exit 44 and exit 40. In New Jersey, construction on the northbound Garden State Parkway blocks 3 lanes by exit 145 until 4 a.m. On the southbound side of the Parkway, construction blocks 2 right lanes between the Essex tolls and exit 145 tonight. And here's a check of your weather forecast from meteorologist Danielle Middle.
A spotty shower early tonight, otherwise mostly cloudy, with a few showers returning to the area late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Lows tonight 53 to 57. For the rest of tomorrow, it'll be becoming breezy and much warmer with some intervals of sunshine. 84 degrees, the high for the city, and inland spots will stay in the 70s for much of Long Island and Connecticut. A couple of showers and thunderstorms move through tomorrow evening. Those storms can be locally strong. Then a nice-looking day for Saturday with a good deal of sun, high 76 degrees.
Right now in Manhattan, we've got partly cloudy skies. It's 61 degrees. WCBS News Time is 7:40. College students have some big decisions to make during the coronavirus pandemic. Can they get the education they expected with social distancing? And what will college look like in the fall? Here's WCBS reporter Peter Haskell.
The fall semester will likely have a mix of in-person and online classes. Early Dickinson President Chris Capuano expects restrictions
like physical distancing, wearing masks, having to test students, faculty, and staff regularly.
At William Patterson University, they're looking at similar plans and possible changes to feeding students.
There would be no sort of communal dining. We would have to do a lot of grab and go and delivery.
Richard Heldobler is school president. He sees this as an opportunity to recruit New Jerseyans.
And it's really targeted at students who chose to go out of state.
The state schools have launched NJ Come Home. Peter Haskell, WCBS News Radio 880.
Well, just how easy is it to pass COVID-19 from one person to another? Here's CBS News correspondent Deborah Rodriguez.
How much is enough to spread the coronavirus? A new study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences finds droplets from simply talking in a confined space can be enough to infect other people with COVID-19. Thousands of droplets from talking loudly can linger for up to 14 minutes before they disappear. Researchers say droplets that exist in an asymptomatic person's mouth are just as contagious. A blog published by UMass Dartmouth includes workplaces, public transportation, social gatherings, restaurants, and homes as high-risk environments. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
WCBS News Time 7:41.
I heard the head of the EPA say that the air was safe for us to come back, but that wasn't the case.
Many people who were at ground zero on 9/11 or the days after have developed respiratory conditions which makes them more vulnerable to the effects of COVID-19.
Everything disintegrated. Phones, computers, desks, chairs. The cement was dust, and that's what we inhaled.
The law office of Barish and McGarry reminds everyone in the 9/11 community that you could be more vulnerable to the coronavirus than others.
If you were diagnosed with an illness and you were below Canal Street, and even if you haven't been diagnosed, I strongly suggest you reach out to Barish and McGarry and let them help you.
Now, more than ever, if you were downtown on 9/11 or during any part of the 8 months that followed, visit 911victims.org. The lawyers at Barish and McGarry offer free consultations and will help you register for the World Trade Center Health Program. 911victims.org. Barish and McGarry, lawyers for the 9/11 community.
And it's time now for a look at sports. Former Mets manager Art Howe is reportedly in intensive care with the coronavirus. The 73-year-old told KRPC Television in Houston his symptoms began with total fatigue, and then he lost his sense of smell and taste and began to feel worse. Major League Baseball and its players have been talking this week in the hopes of having an 82-game season. They have yet to tackle the financial end of it. Tampa Bay Rays pitcher Blake Snell says he's against a pay cut of any kind because the risk of getting sick is not worth it. The former Cy Young Award winner voiced his displeasure in a video on social media. He told the Tampa Bay Times he understood he'd be perceived as greedy, but his opinion was motivated more by health and safety. WCBS News Time, 7:43.
America is a great big country filled with all kinds of different people. And we all count. That's why the 2020 census wants to make sure we're all counted.
Why is it so important?
Because the census helps inform how hundreds of billions of dollars will be spent each year for things like new roads, health clinics, even more school programs.
So make sure you're counted.
Because you count.
Shape your future. Start here. Complete the census at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
With all the overtime our appliances have been taking on these last several weeks, it wouldn't be shocking if one called it quits. Silver lining? Maybe you wanted a new one anyway. Lowe's has you covered during our appliance savings event, with 12-month special financing to help with the unexpected, and up to 40% off select appliances, including the best brands to fit your style and budget. Plus, we'll even deliver for free. Download our app or shop Lowe's.com today. Offers valid through 6/3. Free local delivery and credit applies to appliances $2.99 or more. Subject to credit approval, exclusions apply. U.S. only.
Hospital for Special Surgery is playing a vital role in New York City's community response during the COVID-19 pandemic. HSS is now also a participating site in a nationwide program sponsored by Mayo Clinic to further test the use of convalescent plasma as a treatment option for critically ill COVID-19 patients. People who have fully recovered from this disease and have not been in contact with a COVID-positive person for 14 days can donate convalescent plasma to the New York Blood Center. For more details, visit nybloodcenter.org.
Care-Right Centers would like to thank incredible staff that has remained vigilant during these trying times. Not all heroes wear capes, and Care-Right is fortunate to have heroes that demonstrate such unwavering commitment to their thousands of patients throughout the country.
You're never more than 15 minutes from the big stories on WCBS.
Good evening, I'm Linda Lopez. 3 things to know at 7:45. 1, Jersey Shore beaches will reopen for Memorial Day weekend, but with social distancing restrictions. 6 feet of separation among beachgoers will be required, except for family or household members or couples. There will be no events that draw large crowds like fireworks, no rides, and restaurants on boardwalks will be takeout and delivery only. 2, another 2.9 million workers filed for unemployment last week. So far, more than 36 million jobs have been lost over 2 months of the coronavirus shutdown. And 3, the leaders of city police unions are calling for measures to fire Health Commissioner Phoebe Barbeau after she reportedly dismissed the NYPD's request back in March for protective masks and dismissed the request for the protective equipment with a harsh comment. WCBS reporter Marla Diamond asked the mayor about it at his daily coronavirus briefing. Now, Marla, the mayor didn't hear the derogatory comment Dr. Barbeau made to the NYPD chief.
Right, Linda, the New York Post says the source to before he said anything publicly. Police unions and some elected officials are calling for Barbeau to be fired. The mayor didn't respond to that, but he also did not defend his health commissioner.
And there are reports that the comments were made after the NYPD learned that the Department of Health was stockpiling PPE in a New Jersey warehouse.
Right, police reportedly showed up at the warehouse and demanded masks and remained there until Barbeau and Monahan hashed it out over the phone. This is according to a report in the Daily News, which gives a little more context to the comment that Barbeau made. PBA President Pat Lynch called her refusal to give up the PPE unconscionable. But Sergeants Benevolent Association President Ed Mullis, a loose cannon, took to Twitter and called Barbeau the B-word, saying she has blood on her hands. This makes things a little more messy and complicated. The mayor called Mullins' comments misogynist and unacceptable and called on Mullins to apologize, but added he never does.
Well, the health commissioner and the mayor haven't exactly seen eye to eye on several fronts since the pandemic hit New York. Could this be the mayor's way of possibly getting her out of that post?
Well, his response to the comment that Barbeau reportedly made follows a pattern that we've seen before with his OEM commissioner, Joe Esposito, his NYCHA commissioner,
officials. And tomorrow, the city council will be holding a hearing on why the mayor made that choice. Dr. Barbeau is expected to testify.
And we'll be awaiting that city council hearing to see what happens. WCBS reporter Marla Diamond with the latest from Mayor de Blasio. And let's get a check of our weather forecast now. We head over to the Weather Center to meteorologist Danielle Middle.
We're looking at perhaps a stray shower in a couple of places here early on tonight, especially across the Hudson Valley. Otherwise, looking at a mostly cloudy sky. Then overnight and into early tomorrow morning, that'll be when we see a few more showers working their way through our area. Lows tonight 53 to 57. The rest of the day tomorrow becoming breezy and much warmer. Some intervals of sunshine. 84 degrees in the city and inland suburbs for tomorrow afternoon. We'll stay in the 70s though for much of Long Island and Connecticut. A couple of showers and thunderstorms for the evening hours tomorrow night. Now there is the concern we could see some stronger storms tomorrow evening that could produce some damaging wind gusts, possibly even some hail. So low tomorrow night 62 and Sunday 76. But colder for Sunday with increasing clouds, maybe a late day shower, 64 degrees, and a shower or two for Monday with a high of 61. It's 59 degrees in Bethpage, 67 in Bridgewater. We have 62 degrees in Midtown, going down tonight to a low of 57. Linda?
Meteorologist Danielle Little. WCBS News Time is 7:50. Well, even in a crisis, marine mammals still need to eat. WCBS reporter said lots of smiles are the norm this time of year at the Long Island Aquarium and into the summer months, but without being allowed to reopen until Phase 4. The aquarium and the rescue center within the facility are in big need of financial.
Located within the aquarium, and so we've really lost a lot of opportunity to get our daily donation from the patrons that were coming into the aquarium on a daily basis.
And DeLuca says,
aside from the adventure programs that we do here with shark diving and snorkeling, which now, we're not doing any of those things. So weddings is a sizable business for us. We have a separate banquet hall and we do weddings inside the aquarium.
Issued new guidelines to franchisees before reopening dining areas to customers. The Wall Street Journal reports restaurant owners are urged to encourage social distancing diners as well as implement more frequent cleanings of restrooms, digital kiosks, and door handles. The guidelines also include things like automatic towel dispensers and touchless sinks. McDonald's franchisees can still choose when to reopen dine-in service and how to staff restaurants. Well, traffic is expected to be very light over the Memorial Day weekend.
The first time in 20 years, AAA Travel won't issue a Memorial Day travel forecast because of the COVID-19 pandemic. AAA spokeswoman Jeanette Castellano.
Those forecasts are grounded in economic data that's just not available due to COVID-19. While people will likely travel for the holiday, the travel volume is going to be significantly less than what we typically see.
AAA says online bookings for summer and fall travel, mostly domestic, have increased modestly since mid-April. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
WCBS News Time 7:53. We're sponsored by Care One.
Care One and the Strauss family would like to thank their dedicated staff, along with all of our public servants who have continued to rise to the occasion during these challenging times. Your tireless efforts have not gone unnoticed and are greatly appreciated today and every day.
Home, where you and your loved ones feel safe. You work hard and refresh as the day winds down. Unified Cares, providing you and your home with the absolute best, because we love home too. To schedule a free estimate, call 888-631-2131 or visit unifiedhomeremodeling.com.
In these unprecedented and challenging times, RSN would like to thank the individuals on the front lines of the COVID-19 crisis who are working hard to keep us safe. As the leading provider of audit, tax, and consulting services for the middle market, RSM understands the challenges our clients and friends are facing, and we are ready to help. Visit rsmus.com/COVID for valuable insights, economic updates, and timely information for your business. We are all in this together.
I'm Cindy Green, and when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, our world changed forever. This experience made me so passionate about spreading awareness of treatment options, including clinical trials. I'm joining Sarah to Cancer to get information to those who have been diagnosed with cancer and their loved ones. Clinical trials introduce new hope for patients, providing access to cutting-edge new treatments.
cancer. Every home has have-to-dos and probably some want-to-dos. The Home Depot can help you do both. What are the things you need to make things work a little better? Or take care of something you've been meaning to do? Maybe do something to start summer. We have the low prices to make it all doable. Order online and get free delivery on orders over $45. Whatever you need to do or want to do, we can help you get it done. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Some delivery exclusions apply.
WCBS News Time, 7:55. It's time for Money News now. Taking a look at the numbers on Wall Street, the Dow broke a three-day losing streak. It was up 377 points at the close. The close at 23,625. The S&P 500 was up 30. The NASDAQ rose 80.
CEO Radio, I'm Ray Hoffman. Even before the crisis, we had a crisis of leadership. We had economic prosperity, but not human prosperity.
You like that phrase, human prosperity? It's how Bob Chapman talks and thinks. He's been CEO of St. Louis-based manufacturer Barry Waymiller for 45 years. He's turned it into a $3 billion company by adopting a culture that regards employees as family. And he's hoping his fellow business leaders and government leaders won't ignore this historic opportunity to show some truly human leadership.
And we come together as a human race because we know our crisis. Even in a robust economy, we had one of the highest levels of anxiety and depression among citizens we have ever had. People felt used for economic gain, not cared for human dignity. And so my hope is in this crisis, we come out of this with a greater sense of caring for each other.
More CEO Radio at radio.com. I'm Ray Hoffman.
Townfair Tire is New England's largest name-brand discount tire dealer with over 600,000 tires in stock. So we sell Continental tires at prices so low they can't be beat. We guarantee it. Plus, when you buy Continental tires at Townfair, we give you more free services for life than any other dealer. For the guaranteed best deal on Continental tires, nobody beats Townfair Tire. Nobody.
If you had COVID-19 and got better, you could help others by donating your blood. Mayo Clinic is leading a national emergency access program using donated blood plasma to help patients in the hospital with COVID-19. Those who have recovered from COVID-19 to donate plasma in the month following recovery when antibodies are strong. To help us help others, visit uscovidplasma.org and join the fight. Thousands are waiting at uscovidplasma.org.
When you go to the mechanic in here, ask me the torque. No, let me have the flamethrower. That sounds wrong. You know what else sounds wrong? When you hear about the interest they're earning on your savings with the largest banks. But with a market like Goldman Sachs online savings account, you could earn much more interest. And here's Markets.com. You can money.
Comparing rates of the three largest U.S. banks measured by total deposits. Rates as of February 4th, 2020 and may vary by state. Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC.
Sweet and salty bars from Nature Valley are a perfect combination of sweet and salty. So take a moment for yourself out here. You deserve every last bite. Nature Valley Sweet and Salty Bars. Now available in minis.
Tired of being tracked online? DuckDuckGo can help. They help millions of people like you take control of their personal information online. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Take a look at our weather forecast, sponsored by DuckDuckGo Privacy. We could see a shower tonight. It will be 50 degrees for the low in the city, and actually mid-50s in the city. Tomorrow, clouds and sun, much warmer, but there is still, again, the chance of a shower or a thunderstorm. The high will be near 80 in the city. Right now in Manhattan, 61 degrees. Everyone have a great evening. I'm Linda Lopez.
This is WCBS and WCBS-FM HD2 New York.
Governor Murphy. Jersey Shore beaches by Memorial Day weekend with social distancing in effect, but no amusement rides, arcades, or fireworks. Governor Cuomo says he's concerned the number of apparent COVID-19 illnesses in children is up to 110. Governor Lamont defends his plan to restart opening Connecticut businesses next week amid concern among some Democratic state senators. The former head of the government agency charged with developing vaccines delivers a stark warning to Congress about the federal coronavirus response.
More than just the headlines. This is WCBS News Radio 880.
It's 8 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting. I'm Jim Shanavy in Putnam County, New York. Rick Bright, the ousted head of a government medical research unit, was called to testify before House Democrats today on his claims that the administration dragged its feet early on in pandemic response. CBS's Nancy Cordes.
Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history.
Bright told lawmakers he was ousted last month after refusing to embrace the drug chloroquine as a possible COVID cure.
When I spoke outside of our government and shared my concerns for the American public, that I believe was the straw that broke the camel's back.
President Trump rejected Bright's claim.
I watched him, and he looks like an angry, disgruntled employee who, frankly, according to some people, didn't do a very good job.
Bright told lawmakers that his early warnings about drug and gear shortages were ignored.